Hello and welcome to TARGA Tasmania 2015. I'm Grant Denyer. TARGA Tasmania is a car enthusiast's dream come true. It's a 6-day event, attracting some of the best on-road rally cars and drivers Australia has to offer. This event takes in the state's most picturesque scenery, while offering some of the greatest and thrilling rally roads in the country. With 244 entries, it's time for drivers and navigators to make those last-minute tweaks. They've polished, tuned, checked and double-checked their mechanical masterpieces in readiness for a magical 6 days around this beautiful state we call Tasmania. This is the 24th TARGA Tasmania, and it's going to be awesome. And it starts now. The journey begins in Launceston and finishes in Hobart, but not before taking in just under 500 timed kilometres of rallying. Tasmania is considered a small place, but the network of roads dissecting east to west and north from south and surrounds of unbelievable mountain ranges sets up what is considered the best TARGA rally roads anywhere in the world. Leg 1 loops north from Launceston along the Tamar Valley wine region. Just 4 quick stages to engage crews and test setups across 24 k's of timed sections. For more than 20 years, the street stage of Georgetown has been used to seed teams from slowest to fastest. This year it becomes a fully timed TARGA stage that starts to impact on results early. TARGA Tasmania encompasses 10 different rallies held simultaneously. The vintage rally for cars built prior to World War II, right through to the showroom and modern competitors for the sleek, classy, high-performance vehicles and everything in between. I'm in the showroom competition with my little Renault Megane RS265 and racing with Team Buckby. I'm racing against this. It's only the McLaren F1 650S that has come out of Alonso's F1 factory. Not really a fair fight, but this is TARGA and a lot can happen. The other car who might give me some trouble is this man. It happens to be Jim Richards and champion TARGA navigator Barry Oliver. These guys have won the modern section of this event an unbelievable 8 times. But I've got my secret weapon co-driver. He's a WRC navigator for none other than Ken Block. Alex Gelsomino is one of the world's best at what he does. He hasn't navigated in Tasmania before, but he is Italian and TARGA rallying started in Italy. So I'm thinking that's all I need. I was lucky to win the showroom section in 2013, but this event is going to be very different and the competition is a lot deeper.
I always forget how extraordinary, these roads and stages are and how privileged we are, and to be racing against McLarens and Porsches, that's very satisfying.
The showroom section that Alex and I are in are 2-wheel drive cars. There's a separate category for the 4-wheel drive showroom cars. That part of the rally is always a seesawing battle and sure to prove the same again this year.
One of the toughest challenges will be just trying to keep up with the pace with everyone else. It's a very competitive class.
The modern competition is also capturing attention, mainly because of another doyen in this form of motorsport, Jason White. Driving the white-hot Lamborghini, which is making its long-awaited return to TARGA after a shocking TARGA rest point in 2014.
Offer it. It actually melted the back off the chassis and the wheels come cocked sideways and it sort of ground to a halt, so we couldn't make it all the way back. But we're usually keen to work all night to fix problems, but this one could put us out of TARGA Tasmania, I think, as well. So.
The Whites are famous for TARGA. They're locals and have won it 4 times previously and have Jim Richards' 8 victories in their sights. They might have won 4, but they always provide a packet load of drama.
If you'd bought the car off Lamborghini, you'd probably be taking it back for warranty. But I mean, we do everything ourselves, and I think most of the time we make our own dramas. So not on purpose, but we might not actually be that good at it. I don't know.
As is tradition, Targa is flagged off from Launceston's Country Club Resort.
We're out there just to have a good time, and to finish, most importantly, just to enjoy it. It's another great Targa.
3, 2, 1, go! TARGA Tasmania 2015 is under
The 1975 Alpha Spider of John Keating leads the field away. Almost 250 anxious crews have that sense of occasion, knowing we're all about to embark on something truly remarkable in the motoring world. Across the first 3 stages, through the glorious Tamar Valley, cars are tested, notes are called, and we get the chance to get in the groove. There's no time lost. In fact, there are minimum times given that crews are not to beat. The full competition pace is something to warm up to. Georgetown is where things start to heat up. The coastal village only has 7,000 people living there, but I reckon most of them are out for this street stage and to welcome the field to their first real test of TARGA Tas 2015.
3 left, 200, narrow, paving caution.
Alex and I were able to negotiate the street course in 3 minutes 32 seconds, which wasn't too bad. Not as good as the McLaren, but only 1 second slower than the great Jim Richards, which is nothing to sneeze at. The Master has a history of being the quickest around Georgetown, but Tony Quinn's McLaren blitzes it. 9 seconds faster than Jim, recording a time of 3 minutes and 22 seconds.
It's a whole new experience, man. It's like a new girlfriend. You know, it's exciting, but it's daunting.
In modern, Tasmania's Eddie Maguire was fastest. Ironically, in a little Evo that his mate Jason White had sold him.
It was a hell of a good stage there through Georgetown. Great little stage. It really suits the Lancer a lot more than the GDRs and the Lamborghinis. So I'm sure that result should change tomorrow. But yeah, certainly a good stage for this car.
We've just worked out with the new gearbox, it's got a new diff in it, and they come very, very, very stiff from standard. So it's got no give in it, and it's making the car understeer. So we'll fix that tonight and fix this and fix that and just keep on working at it. We'll have a proper race car by the end of the event, hopefully.
At the end of the day, one noticeable absentee from the leaders in modern was Steve Glenney. He had a shocker of a start to the event.
Yeah, we've had a horror start. Beautiful weather, but a couple of annoying little failures on the car in the first couple of stages. So boys are just looking at it now to fix it up and see how we go. But yeah, dropped a bit of time, unfortunately.
But the competition in modern, just like the showroom, is packed with tarmac talent. And several guys will be out to give Jason White a run for his money. Last year's Victorian Targa High Country winner, Eddie Maguire, in the Mitsubishi Evo is expected to pour the pressure on. 2008 winner Steve Glenney in a Nissan GDR Spec V will still be the main threat in White's mind. But Jamie Vandenberg is back this year too. He won it last year in a drama-packed event, only just making it to the finish line with the car bellowing smoke for most of the day. Vandenberg was not having a great day either.
I sort of forgot to turn off the traction control, so that sort of probably lost us a few seconds here and there.
Fans of the popular classic cars watch as Peter Nunn picks up where he left off in the Victorian version of Targa. His Porsche 944 Turbo setting the equal fastest time with the super competitive Peter Ulrich in his superbly presented 1963 Jensen CV8.
We haven't had a real good run in this car. We've had a few problems, but we've changed the spec of the car, gone back to classic with the turbo engine, and it's a lot nicer to drive, a lot less issues, not as highly strung. So I'm hoping we'll have a dream run this year and finish well.
10 rallies are being held here all at once. The modern and showroom cars are sectioned off for cars built later than 2007. Then there's the early modern rally, the classics, the vintage, and then the technical competitions, which are more about achieving a specific time on each stage. Their top speed is capped at 130 kilometres per hour. The classic comp is just that. Yes, it's for classic cars, but the competition is classic, an old-fashioned dogfight rally style. Then there's last year's classic winner Barry Foe, looking for back-to-back victories in his Mazda RX-7. The very fast Craig Haseman in his Triumph TR7 V8 is hoping for some luck after either crashing out or suffering mechanical retirements in recent events. There's 51 cars entered in Classic, and the winner is likely to come from any of the top 20. It's not just about straight line speed, braking late, or suspension setup. It's about prepping these old cars, even before the field assembles. It's about servicing and the strategy to make sure you even get to the last stage across the full 6 days. Porsche driver and last year's TARGA Classic High Country winner, Peter Nunn, looks a threat. And Peter Ulrich is a TARGA veteran and has always been competitive amongst the early model classics. But now his Jensen is a serious contender for classic outright. Leg 2 is the first of 2 days in the state's northwest. If day 1 is considered a warm-up, day 2 is a full workout with 89 Ks of testing roads for teams to tackle. Sheffield at 14.62 Ks will challenge teams considerably with little respite through Nook, Moriarty and Mersey-Lee. As the field turns for home, they'll need to take on the 16K stage around Paluna Dam and the 26K hill climb up Mount Roland. The morning of day 2 of TARGA is crisp but very bright. A thick frost welcomes the field for the first of the day's stages, but really it's perfect conditions with the roads dry. The first stage of the day is another cleanable stage, meaning we should be able to get through the stage in the time allowed without a full-on effort. The following 7 stages will all attract time penalties. The next is High Plains, about 50 Ks west of Launceston, 5.7 Ks of fairly flat tarmac. The McLaren was only 1 second faster than our Renault. A great start for us, considering we were faster than Jim Richards by 4 seconds. The next stage, we match Quinn's McLaren across the 14 Ks of forest and dairy farm roads on the Sheffield stage. By stage 10, Tony Quinn was off. He found another level and pulled 14 seconds on us. Craig Dean in his awesome Ford Mustang was second fastest on stage 10 and was going very quick. Tony Quinn was fastest again on the rest of the day's stages, 16 seconds on Paluna and 13 seconds on Mount Roland to wind up the day. And by service at the end of the day, predictably Tony Quinn was well out in front of the leaderboard.
Today was pretty tough because the car, as you know, is new and they're not built to race TARGA events, and the suspension is needing some work.
This is a truly beautiful looking automobile. Straight out of the McLaren factory, 478 kilowatts of power extracted from the 3.8 litre V8 twin-turbo engine, which is sitting on a carbon fibre chassis. This all means the car can reach 100 Ks an hour in just 3 seconds after it jumps from the start line.
Straight over crest, 350. At end, long 9 right, on crest, 200.
This year was always just going to be a testing year, ready for next year, because next year's the 25th, and we won the 20th with a Nissan, and we'd both love to win the 25th.
Whatever the specs, the Formula One experts at McLaren have built one super sexy and fast motorcar for us to try and keep up with. Over in the modern competition, the GDR of Steve Glenney enters the day in 22nd position. The Westwood stage is cleaned by nearly the whole field, what is normally a walk in the park. But taking traction control off was thought to have fixed their problems from day one. Obviously not. But the problem was fixed. The bad news, another 1 minute 38 seconds dropped. The 2008 winner now 3 minutes and 2 seconds adrift of his rival Jason White. The good news, they were still competing. The even better news, the GDR was back on stage 2, equal fastest. The service crew identified that the settings needed to be changed on the electric clutch clamps. Maguire in the Evo was pedalling hard. He takes the lead out to 4 seconds in stage 2. Stage 3 is quite different though. Sheffield is 14 Ks and more than enough to wash away that kind of lead. Maguire is relegated to 3 seconds back in the blink of an eye. Jamie Vanderberg's traction control issues see him slightly off the pace but into third. But he too has his GTR now rocketing. He jumps from 9th to 3rd in just 2 stages.
We lost a lot of time yesterday, but we overcome that today. A bit of tune in the suspension, and hopefully we'll just get a bit quicker. So it's a long way to go. So at the end of the first day, if you're in the sort of the top 5, that's a good place to be.
Early classic Targa veteran Graham Copeland's Datsun 1600 SSS sprung an oil leak on the first stage, forcing him out for the day and ending any chance of a competitive finish.
I'm going to have a look to see if we can repair it, otherwise we're doing a pub crawl.
The classic battle was all one-way traffic, with Peter Nunn's Porsche controlling the class. Nunn dominates the day, equal first on the day's first stage, and then winning the remaining 7 stages.
We had a great day, had a few little issues with the car. We had not overheating problems, but a head gasket issue that pushes water out when it should be in. It hasn't caused a problem, hasn't really slowed us up, apart from taking a bit of boost out. So we're about to pull the head off that thing and put another head gasket on it, so it's all ready for tomorrow and try and get us to the end.
Car 522, Mac Russell's Morgan +8, cuts a lonely figure on the final stage of Mount Roland, struck down with mechanical problems.
We're probably pulling around about 180 across the top of the straight here, so we just chucked her into angel gear and we let her run, and we generally got to the finish and we pushed, she started, and then we just got across the line and stopped dead where we are now, the last stage of the day. So with a bit of luck we'll get her going and we'll be back in again tomorrow.
The showroom four-wheel drive comp is again a cracking battle through day 2. Perini in the Merc, Stuart Little in the 2009 Evo 10, Barry Smith in the Audi, Angus Kennard and Ralph Norton in Subarus. The top 5 separated by just 10 seconds at the end of the Sheffield stage. Barry Smith and Stuart Little start to pull away from the pack and begin a duel on the remaining stages. Little up by 9 seconds. The last 2 stages of the day are 42 Ks combined. Barry Smith powers through each, wiping away the Little lead and finishes up leading by 5 seconds.
Up hills it's much better than an Evo, it's got much lower down torque. Yep. It really does power down, yeah, and that's the difference between this, I think, and a good Evo.
The sleek McLaren 650S of Tony Quinn dominates showroom class, finishing 1 minute and 30 seconds clear of Jim Richards in his Porsche. Craig Dean in the Mustang Shelby 10 seconds further back. Our Renault's in good shape, perfectly positioned to challenge. Despite some mechanical problems, Nunn finishes the day 64 seconds ahead of South Australian Craig Haseman's Triumph TR7. Peter Ulrich in the Jensen 47 seconds further back, and the consistent Barry Foe half a minute away in the RX-7. Day 3 takes competitors to the north and east coasts through stages such as the tough 13.7 kilometre windy but majestic Sideley. Weldborough Pass and Elephant Pass also highlights. The day ending at the spiritual home of Tasmanian motoring, the English-style village of Longford. After dramas on day 2, Peter Nunn's hopes of Targa triumph in classics comes to an early end on leg 3. His Porsche 944 Turbo eventually loses oil pressure and dumps a big end bearing on the sidling. Nunn nursed the car on day 2 after losing water, with thoughts it was a blown head gasket.
57 right short.
I think the engine's
I think the engine's 4 left.
We'll keep pushing a bit.
6 right, how's your oil pressure?
Yeah, it's still up.
Tightening to a 5 right.
Developed a bit of a noise in the engine and then we lost oil pressure, so we just shut it down and coasted it at the end, so disappointing way to finish.
In showroom, Alex and I were always going to find it tough to match it with the $500,000 McLaren of Tony Quinn. But Jim Richards is hot on our heels and just 39 seconds behind after the sidling stage. Jim and Barry are charging in their 2014 Porsche Cayman against our giant-killing Renault Megane hatchback. After the sidling stage, we line up for the 5K Ledgerwood stage through the rich red earth of the northeast's farms. It's a very narrow, tight and twisty run. Tony Quinn, the quickest through. The next 5 cars are separated by a mere 5 seconds. Craig Dean's Mustang, second fastest, 6 seconds slower than Quinn. Next, Jim Richards, the Porsche just 1 second slower than the Mustang. Another second back is another Renault of motoring journalist Michael Sinclair. He's 1 second faster than Alex and I. Neil Ford's Corvette, another second back. Then Peter Mayer's Porsche GT3, again just 1 second back. Dean's drive in the Mustang a standout, and he's able to relegate Jim Richards back to 4th place. This is how day 2 will stand, other than for Michael Sinclair, who overtakes Jim Richards too on the uphill stage of Elephant Pass. Tasmanian Jason White begins the day with an 18-second advantage over a persistent Eddie Maguire as the field sets off from Launceston. But the story in the modern section is developing back in the field, and the GTR of Steve Glenney and co-driver Bernie Webb had an amazing day 1. They had remarkably surged from 3 minutes behind to now being 2 minutes behind, and from 22nd position up to 6th position. And now, on the morning of day 3, he and Bernie Webb are at the start of the sidling, one of Glenney's favourite stages. Glenney had beaten White in the past 2 years on this stretch. Time for the action to hot up. Glenney, a very quick 9 seconds faster than White. A massive run from Glenney, with White trying to match him. But Glenney and Webb were not going to spend the rest of the event feeling sorry for themselves. They were going to give it a crack. They might have been coming last after day 1, but their goal is now to see if they can put together the greatest Targa drive. No one has ever come from 20 places back to win the modern category.
That was sort of our plan right from the word go, to try and win this event. We had the issues on day 1 that we're trying to overcome, so look, we'll just keep pushing and see how many days are left.
Yeah, for us I think it's all about just keeping an eye on Steve and trying to make sure he doesn't close that gap back up too much. If he could average 6 seconds a stage off us, you know, we'd be done for.
Adam Spence is competing hard. His efforts rewarded the previous day into 3rd place after Moriarty's stage on leg 2. But issues on the Mersey-Lee stage see him drop from 3rd to 10th. The Nissan GTR is sitting in 8th position after the Pine-Garner stage. As the field ascends back into the mountains off Tasmania's east coast, the uphill climb of Mount Elephant spells disaster for Spence.
We went round the corner and either something happened with the car, I'm not entirely sure what happened. We sort of came around that corner, hit a mound, flipped once and then into the shrubbery.
The stunning Aston Martin of local driver Philip Leith also exits Targa 2015 on Elephant Pass, albeit not as spectacularly. The four-wheel drive showroom section was again an enthralling battle, with Barry Smith dominating the latter stages of day 2 and taking the lead. They drive their Audi TT RS superbly under pressure, but only extending their lead by 8 seconds to 13, ahead of the chasers led by Little in the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo and the Subaru Impreza of Kennard, who is always going to contend, his times very close to that of the top two. The second last stage of the day is Ross Arden, a small settlement backing onto Launceston's ski fields of Ben Lomond. It would be the last stage to gain precious seconds for the trio. In early modern, Tim Hendy's Nissan Skyline GDR hasn't relinquished the lead, but Hendy's had to earn every second, facing multiple challenges, with Liam Howarth in another Nissan and the Subaru GDX driven by Vic Sconner heading up the chase. Hendy's had to fight all the way, in particular here on the Marina stage against Sconner. Then the Ledgerwood leg battle with the RX-7 of Mark Bolcom, just 2 seconds separating both pairs. Hendy has a 2-minute and 28-second advantage over Howarth, and Sconner a further 13 seconds back in third and 3 minutes off the lead. Once the field is through Ross Arden, the pressure is off to minimise the time penalties, and it's the ability to shine for the fans at the spiritual home of Tasmanian motorsport, Longford. The town, with a population of 4,000, is only 20 minutes south of Launceston, so crowds always come to see the Targa field at full throttle. Day 4, cars head to Tasmania's west coast via some of Targa's most famous stages at Sathana, Rihanna and Helier Gorge. Over 140 kilometres in all, ending the day at Tasmanian tourism hotspot Strawn for an overnight stay. Along with the Sideling and Mount Arrowsmith, Sathana is always the stage every Targa competitor talks about, due to its position in the rally. Day 4 and Day 5 is where Targa goes from being full-on to intense. Longer stages and more of them. Sathana is the first of these long stages, just over 21 kilometres, which will take about 10 minutes to complete. That's 10 minutes of full concentration from the driver responsible for steering and manoeuvring the car in the right direction. But it's also 10 minutes of pace notes to call, process and respond to that will result in making up time or making mistakes. In the showroom section, I was holding on to second place in the little Renault, but now the challenge is really coming from Craig Dean in his angry Mustang. Dean wins the stage and beats Quinn, but in 21 kilometres, only 1 second was the difference between the two of them. We were right on it too, and we held our own, only 2 seconds slower than Quinn. The Guns Plains stage followed, another massive 14 Ks. We win it, but it isn't enough. We beat Craig Dean, but by only 1 second there.
We got a bit on Denya earlier today, and then he hit us with another 10 seconds and put us back to where we began. So he's driving pretty good, and but the car's going well. We're having a ball.
We just need to keep Grant at bay, because I don't want to be beaten by a bloody game show host with a Renault.
We won't be able to catch McLaren. We'll keep pressuring him just in case anything happens, but we've extended the gap to third place, and there's a big smile.
Rihanna was the next challenge. This time, another relentless stage through the narrow farm roads, normally trampled only by crossing dairy cattle or the odd four-wheel drive motorbike or tractor. This tight, twisty section is not suited to the bulky Mustang, but the drive is incredible, and Dean wins the stage, beating Quinn by 6 and Alex and I by 11. But let's just say our drive through Rihanna is notable for other reasons. The early stages on day 4 have very little travel time between them, so no time to regroup or refresh. No sooner are you finished one long stage before you're being counted away for the next. In modern, Glenney and Webb in the GTR need to utilise these longer stages to try and pare back the deficit to the leading teams from where they sit in 4th. 2 minutes and 4 seconds from White. But still 47 seconds off 3rd and a place on the podium. They take out Sathana's stage. If Glenney continues to beat White like he is, he may not only get a place on the podium, he'll win the whole thing.
It's been a tough day actually. Tyres are wearing, grips dropping, but the other boys are still going fast.
The GDR ahead of the Lambo by just 6 seconds, but importantly 18 seconds faster than Vandenberg, who was in 3rd. That gap now back to just 29 seconds. Eddie Maguire still in 2nd place. He's well aware it's going to be hard to match it with such a supercar out in front, but he'll be very content if he can hold off the GTR charge coming from those behind him. Rihanna is a tick under 30 kilometres and things are starting to unravel for the battling Evo.
We did a head gasket, unfortunately. We lost a minute and a half and a bit of time during the day. We managed to nurse the car and get it through to the end. Total loss of time yesterday was probably well over 2 minutes.
Glenney is a whopping 23 seconds faster than Vandenberg on Guns, Plains and Rihanna, and not only snags a podium spot with the Maguire issue, but then snatches 2nd place from Vandenberg on the very next stage of Hellier Gorge. Glenney only with White left in front of him on the leaderboard, and history has shown the Whites are not immune from drama either. So perhaps Glenney's fairy tale may become a reality.
We're trying to stay with them. We'll see where it ends up at the end of the week.
And we've still got good tyres and everything, so I think Steve might be a little bit in front of us, but yeah, another day, we'll see how we go.
We've been having a real crack, so it's the days previously we had a lot of issues that were stopping us from trying to have too much of a crack, and when we did it was buggering up the front diff. So now that everything's in hand and it's all working, it's it means that you can concentrate on driving and concentrate on the calls and get a rhythm going.
As they tackle the last stage of the day, for the White's Lamborghini, it's almost a case of deja vu, the rear end catching fire once again. Who would have thought?
The bumper actually came away from it, so we actually had an under tray off after Hellier Gorge because the engine tried to fall out of it. Would you believe the bolts fell out of the engine mount, so the engine was flapping around in the engine bay. So after Hellier we went to fix that, but we obviously haven't put the bolts in across the back of the bumper, and the winds caught it. And those 250 km/h winds don't do much for a bumper that's not fixed on properly, I think.
Craig Haseman has tasted Targa glory before in classics, but Targa heartbreak has haunted Haseman in recent outings.
Would you get up the hill? What time? 9:55. He got us.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
It was a great comment. Craig is worthy opposition. You know, there are some very, very good drivers out there that aren't that well known, and he hustles that thing and drives it very well.
That's it, we're out, no drive, and away we go. Just devastating. It's the same as TARGA Tas all over again.
With Peter Nunn forced to retire on day 3, Haseman now having it all his own way, winning each and every stage on day 3. But the further in front the triumph steps, the pressure increases and the memories of Targa's gone, never far from Craig's mind.
We should still be comfortable, but we've got some master tacticians behind us with Barry Foe and Peter Ulrich. Those guys know how to play a great game.
Haseman starts day 4 with a bang, winning stage after stage. After the Hellier Gorge stage, Haseman has built a 3-minute 23-second lead, but warning bells start to sound heading down the west coast of the island.
We've been down probably about 30% of power. We've got a fuel pump that's about to die. The boys have got one at the end in Strawn, so we'll change it tonight.
Haseman has been proving that his challenges are not quick enough, so the event is only his to lose. The battle for second place is very much alive, and given the issues that normally plague Haseman, second place is considered a very appealing position to be. Peter Ulrich's 1963 Jensens in a struggle with Barry Foe's RX-7, heading into the west coast town of Strawn, with a gap between second and third just 17 seconds. The final stage of the day is the 17.5 kilometre Rosebery stage. Ulrich's Jensen must try and fend off Barry Foe's challenge.
Very long 9 left, tightens and into crest 150.
Barry Foe taking another 5 seconds from Ulrich, setting up an exciting finish, with Haseman's service crew left to remedy the fuel pressure issue. Stuart Little has been leading four-wheel drive showroom, taking over from Barry Smith in the Audi, who smacks a guidepost at Sathana, putting the right rear wheel out of alignment and costing him valuable minutes.
Just slid slightly wide on the right-hand rear, tapped a guidepost and knocked the camber out to blazes, really. We had quite a bit of positive camber, so from then on it goes down the road like it's lurching to the right.
Little also drops dramatically through the field, hitting a pothole in Rosebery, forcing a tyre change. He ends the day in 5th, more than 4 minutes behind new leader Angus Kennard in a Subaru WRX, who's climbed from 3rd to 1st. In classics, as well as competing for outright places, handicap times are thrown over the 51 cars. Base times are extended or shortened depending on the specs and age of the car. Early classics for cars built from 1947 to 1971 compete in a handicap section, and then classics handicaps are given to cars manufactured between 1972 through 85. The handicap race in early classics is headed up by the quintessential classic Aussie car, the 1948 Holden of Paul Freestone, who's also vying for a podium finish in outright honours, currently sitting in 4th. In late classics, Lee Achterberg in his 82 Porsche 944 is 8th outright. But with a handicap applied, he has a 1-minute lead back to Barry Foe. Craig Dean's Mustang wins 4 of the day's stages, finishing just under 2 minutes off the lead and 33 seconds behind us, with Quinn way out in front. Targa legend Jim Richards is in 5th place, 5.5 minutes off the pace in his Porsche Cayman, trailing 4th placed Michael Sinclair's Renault by 46 seconds.
We don't worry about anyone else, we go as fast as we can go. At the end of the day we see where we are.
2008 winner Steve Glenney flies into 2nd place, finishing the day 2 minutes and 27 seconds behind White. An incredible feat after being placed 22nd at the end of day 1.
Car's hanging in there. It's copping some punishment, but it's hanging in there.
Jamie Vandenberg's Nissan remains in 3rd, 2 minutes and 31 from the lead. In classics, Haseman way out in front with the RX-7 competing with the Jensen for 2nd and 3rd. Day 5 of the rally contains 6 stages, beginning with the 33k sprint south from Strawn before the field tackles 99 testing bends out of Queenstown, and then the monster, the 51k stage of Mount Arrowsmith. 3 further stages through Tarraleah, Ellendale and Grass Hill are on the outskirts of Hobart to wind up the day. While the scenery is spectacular, the road between Strawn and Hobart can be an isolating place. Certainly lonely for Craig Haseman and navigator Mary Hughes. They are untouchable at the top of the leaderboard, but nursing a fuel pressure problem that has so far gone unresolved. While there are only 6 stages, there is nothing short about the journey to Hobart. Strawn opens up the day's play with 33 Ks. No prizes for guessing. Tony Quinn was the fastest showroom car. But the big concern for us was another awesome drive from the fighting Craig Dean, 12 seconds faster than us. Our Renault is more suited to the tight mountain stages rather than the open sweepers that Strawn is serving up. We've been on our knees praying for rain, which is not a big ask for the west coast of Tassie. Rain would play into our hands, slowing the horsepower-backed Mustang, but the roads remain dry. 51 kilometres around Mount Arrowsmith is legendary Targa country. Holding out the Mustang is daunting and the pressure is on. Across the 51 kilometres, just 1 second separates us. We have defended fiercely. Craig Dean unable to impact the standings across 22 minutes of full-on rallying. The fast, open corners, a big opportunity for him. The nights here can be bitterly cold and thick morning frosts are a regular occurrence. Competitors have had to overcome blizzard-like conditions on this leg in previous years. On this morning at Arrowsmith, the ice in parts has not yet melted. Arrowsmith has ended many Targa campaigns and 2015 is no different. Quinn has backed off and Haseman has no choice but to. Quinn with a 2-minute 14 lead and Haseman with a 3-minute lead. They both have time to burn in their respective competitions. Jason White doesn't have that luxury. Glenney is starting to breathe down his neck. And as predicted by many, the rebuilt Lamborghini now strikes more trouble. His lead is melting.
We've had some really good ding-dong battles over the last couple of years, swapping second for second. So he was always the threat, but then seeing him have the couple of dramas in the first 2 days, that was a real gift as far as the result for us would be. But it actually spoiled a little bit because we're pretty good mates and we look forward to that competition.
Glenney pushes on oblivious. The last stage revealing that White's 2-minute 27 lead was down to 1 minute 14 seconds with just 4 stages left. White now wondering if they have enough of a gap. Jamie Vandenberg in his Nissan sitting comfortably in 3rd place, 19 seconds behind Glenney. The close battle in 4-wheel drive showroom is, as always, living up to expectations. While Kennard has snared the lead, it was only 42 seconds going into the day. But Angus Kennard is a determined man on the Strawn stage, going 28 seconds faster than Perini's Mercedes and 21 seconds faster than Norton's Subaru WRX. And then backs it up, winning Queenstown too. While Little is most likely out of contention for the lead, he was not giving up on a podium finish. He's run through Mount Arrowsmith, dominating the rest of the field, 24 seconds faster than Kennard. Kennard wins no further stages on day 5, and the lead just over a minute. In Classics, leader South Australian Craig Haseman nurses his Triumph TR7 V8 all the way into Hobart. He's running at just 60% power with that fuel pump and fuel filter issue. His 3-minute lead held up across a gruelling day.
I don't want to bin the car. I'd wish it was over today. From this morning out of Strawn, it's just there's no power in it at all. Really struggling to keep the speed up. So hopefully we've done enough to get the job done, to preserve our lead from overnight. And tomorrow's another day.
Barry Foe and Peter Ulrich continue to trade blows for 2nd place. The 1938 Dodge Speedster Special of Wayne Clark and Trevor Berryman has breezed through the event so far in the vintage class, proudly showing off the features of their historic racer. 2015 sees the reintroduction of the loop around Hobart's Don Tricastro Channel. Oyster Cove, Woodbridge and Cygnet stages is the fruit-growing region giving Tasmania the nickname of the Apple Isle. The stage through Longley lies in the shadow of Mount Wellington, a perfect backdrop ahead of the last moments of this epic event. The podium and champagne shower in the heart of the Hobart waterfront will finish the ultimate tarmac rally. These stages are shorter than the previous day's rigorous tests, but all stages must be completed and the leaders must survive to claim victory. White can now join Tony Quinn and Craig Haseman in conserving the car. And while time is being washed away by Glenney, who would not give up, White was feeling like he had done enough. Alex and I in our Renault still have to watch our backs and defend our 28-second lead ahead of Craig Dean's Mustang. Peter Ulrich in the classic competition must also defend his position. Barry Foe continues to battle on and is not content with third. Foe has 31 seconds to make up. And make it up he does. Pushing for one more performance from his consistent RX-7. He gets it, overtaking Ulrich by 6 seconds and claiming second place. But no one's catching Haseman. Close to victory, he's determined to write a different ending to this Targa story. On his 5th attempt at this event, he crosses the line on the last stage at Longley, a Targa Tasmania champion.
It's a relief to finally have that achievement. You know, it's something we've aspired to do. It's just a massive achievement. Even today, it's like this morning, I just didn't want to get in the car.
We were flat out with the bat out today, but we couldn't catch him. We got him, we were told we caught him, but then he told us we didn't catch him, so there you go.
Craig Haseman taking out his first Targa Tasmania title ahead of challengers Foe and Ulrich. The late classic handicap was taken out by Lee Achterberg and Greg Fitzgerald in the 1982 Porsche 944. The early classic handicap is taken out by Ulrich, followed by the Holden of Freestone and Andrew White in a 61 Volvo. Jason and John White score their 5th Targa Modern title. After 18 months of misfortune, they proudly take their position back on top of the dais.
Well, each one that we've had, I've always said has been the best one. But yeah, this by far is probably the best one because you know the car's come such a long way from being burnt and rebuilt, and then you know the emotions of last year with Targa, with you know the Evo and crashing that, and Dad and Pop and all that other sort of stuff. You know, it's just been a fairly emotional sort of time. So. I reckon Mum will have a good old cuddle and a good old cry later on when she gets down here. But yeah, look, we couldn't be happier.
Glenney just couldn't make up the ground. A win was on the cards if the problems of day 1 and 2 hadn't set him so far back. But the charge from the bottom of the table to second will go down as one of the great Targa drives.
Obviously, after our problems on the first day, meant we had a big chase ahead of us. We just tried our best.
Last year's modern winner, Jamie Vandenberg, holds it together to finish third. 2 minutes and 6 off the lead. Tony Quinn strolls through the last stages, a worthy showroom winner having dominated the event, his brand new McLaren Formula One surviving the marathon.
Having driven four-wheel drive cars for the last 10 years at least, it is such a challenge driving a high-powered two-wheel drive car.
Our Renault 2 performed brilliantly and managed to hold out Craig Dean for third. In early modern, it was a Nissan 1-2 as Liam Howarth's 95 Skyline took honours by 56 seconds ahead of the 2003 Skyline of Tim Hendy. Daniel Ford's Subaru WRX completes the podium 4 minutes and 52 seconds back. In the sports trophy section, where teams had specific times to achieve, Jeff Beeble in his 2000 Skyline came out on top. The 74 Porsche Carrera RS of Mark and Rosina Lorkie also the thoroughbred honours. And Alan and Heather Gluyer in their 2012 Toyota taking out the TSD trophy. Showroom four-wheel drive provides us with the tightest contest. Barry Smith's Audi, the early leader before clipping a guidepost. The 2009 Subaru Impreza of Angus Kennard eventually takes the honours by 18 seconds from the sleek Mercedes of Richard Perini. Ralph Norton's Subaru on the podium, 2 minutes and 13 seconds back.
Oh, I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah, feeling pretty good. We just were able to snake over the line with about, 20 or so seconds to spare.
Targa boasts the biggest motorsport champagne shower in the world, as 11 competitions all come together to celebrate their performance in the world's ultimate tarmac rally. The countdown has begun to 2016, and what promises to be taken to yet another dimension as we celebrate 25 years of Targa Tasmania.